Hey everyone, another GMG review. Today we're taking a look at Warhammer The Old World, the Warriors of Chaos, and the Path to Glory new Marauder rules in the new Arcane Journal that's backing them up. So this is I guess, finally, after so many years, reimagining of the Marauder miniatures. We did more recently, I think 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy Battle, just previous to that 7th edition was when we got new Marauder Horsemen. And they were kind of the nicest Marauder miniatures we had for a long time. This has been building upon Bjorn Bearstruck and the Dogs of War unit from 5th edition Warhammer Fantasy Battle for many, many years, and replaces the most jacked He-Man armed, unit in Warhammer Fantasy Battle for a long time. And what they've done is they basically created a new Marauder profile for Marauders and Marauder Horsemen in this Arcane Journal to zhuzh up your Warhammer armies of Warriors of Chaos. And then giving us some Path to Glory rules for doing some progression campaigns as well. So what comes in this box, you're going to get effectively 2 units of Marauder Horse and then 20 Marauder warriors. They can be armed with a variety of weapons. Now come in the big 30 mil and then 30 by 60 mil bases. And you can see here, they've got the, I would say almost standard now for the Warhammer The Old World stuff, old school build style, where you kind of encounter in the Age of Sigmar and the Warhammer 40k lines, these easy to build style miniatures where everything kind of slots together one way. You can see on the Marauders that they have very much a mix and match kind of mentality, a lot more like old Games Workshop miniatures. So we have all these different shield options, all these different weapon options, a ton of different head options, and they can build a bunch of ways. You have the hand weapon and shield, you have the great weapons, and then flails. And that's pretty similar to the classic Dudes on Foot that you got in, I think it was 4th they came out. No, not 4th. 5th would be the Dogs of War. 6th is, I think the 6th edition Warriors of Chaos book is when we get plastic Marauders on foot. And they've existed basically since that time. Now, the command miniatures are a little bit more static. You can see here they've got a single pose and then a couple different head and arm options, banner options. But that's just command. Everything else you can just kind of mix and match. You can see heads if you want. And they build most similar, I would say, to the plastic Chaos Warriors from this era, where you had a body, a front-facing body plate, you had the back plate with the cloak and stuff on it, and then you had these 2 kind of elbow-mounted arm options that would make either hand weapon and shield or 2 hand weapons, and they had accessories for making great weapons and pole arms and stuff on them as well. But there's a bunch of different poses. I think on the frame, because it's one, you can see this is a single frame, it's busted in half. I think it's 5 per. Yeah, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so it's 10 per frame, and the frames are busted in half here. And then, you can see shields. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shields. Variety of different arms and flail options, and the flails and heads are separate, but they're pretty standard, so you can put any of the flail heads you want on any of the different flails. It's just that single flat piece, so you can pretty much mix and match them. Not a lot of kit bashing required, and it's just the same minis over and over again. So this is basically just if you don't have any Chaos Marauders and you want to add them to your force, it's a bundle. And how do these guys do? Because I think that's the important thing here, is we need to see how do these guys look when it comes to the rules, because the rules are the key. And let's have a look. Because I don't have the book, but I do have it digitally, so I can tell you guys about the rules, but I can't show you guys the rules. And I've got them here on my iPad next to me, so I can pull them up to check out. I just had the Path to Glory rules open, so I'm just totally unprepared for this. There we go. So I have the book digitally, so I can't actually show it to you, but what I can do is give you a comparison to the current Chaos Marauder unit entry and what has changed here. So the biggest change is they've gone from 25 to 25 mil bases to 30 by 30s, still a 5+, and the base point cost of 6 points now comes with hand weapons and light armor. So they have light armor built in, even though they're not as narrow across the front, which is a slight disadvantage because they don't have the same frontage. They have less attacks. Basically, the smaller the base, the more the attacks. But they're now in the same base size as a Chaos Warrior, effectively. They can take great weapons and flails, 2 points for great weapon, 1 point for a flail. So this is exactly the same. No longer have to buy light armor because it's coming equipped, so shields are still a point. You can be part of the Cult of the Bloodied Crow, sorry, the Bloodied Hound, the Carrion Crow, the Slithering Serpent, the Fell Raptor. And this is effectively replacing the Marks of the Gods here. So no more Mark of Khorne, Nurgle, Slanesh, or Tzeentch. You have these different cults instead. And your Headman champion, who's 7 points, can be like the exact same profile as this. It's extra attack, extra leadership, same core stats. They can have a standard for 5. Yep, all the same upgrades. A musician for 5. Your Headman can 0 per 1,000 points by, he can buy magic items of a total of 25 points. 1 per 1,000 points. Units can have ambushers, close order, can be replaced with skirmishers for free, with open order for free, and then can have a magic banner worth up to 50. They got close order, Horde, Mark of Chaos Undivided, Shield Wall, and Warband. And this page replaces the profiles and rules on page 62 of Ravening Hordes. So important to note that this is now totally changed. You have chaotic traits, which we'll talk about in a second, but we're going to start with the cults of chaos. So these are different warrior lodges the Marauders can belong to, and they give you different bonuses. So the Bloodied Hound is going to be +1 weapon skill. The Carrion Crow is going to be +1 toughness. The Cult of the Fell Raptor is going to give you a 6+ ward, and the Slithering Serpent gives you poison attacks. So real simple cult rules, but again, they don't count as Khorne, Nurgle, Slanesh, and Tzeentch for the purposes of other army rules, right? They just get this flat bonus, and they don't benefit from the other cult stuff. Then we've got our Marauder Horsemen, who will differentiate as well by having a base size change. So if we look at the classic one, they're probably in Cavalry a little bit later on. Chaos Trolls, Marauder Horsemen. 12 points to 12 points, exact same. Core stat block is exactly the same. 30 by 60. Note these are 30 by 60 as well. So what's changed here? Hand opens, light armor, and shields. They gain shields on the base profile, so you're saving a point per model there. Cavalry spears and throwing spears are free. Flails are a point still. Throwing axes are still a point. It looks like pretty much everything's the same, except the marks are down. So again, the marks have all changed to being those additional marks. So no more Khorne, Nurgle, Slanesh, and Tzeentch. Instead, it's Bloodied Hound, Carrion Crow, Slithering Serpent, and Fell Raptor for 1 point instead of 2 per model. And that's +1 weapon skill, +1 toughness, 5+ ward, and I've already forgotten the other one. And it's poison attacks. Yeah, the Poison Serpents, poison attacks. Which I imagine is the Slaneshi one. And they've got Fast Cav, Fire and Flee, which they still have, Mark of Chaos Undivided, Open Order, Swift Stride, and Warband. Upgrades are identically priced, 7, 5, and 5. You can have magic items on your Headman or your Horsemaster for up to 25 points, ambushers for 1 point per model, 0 to 1,000. You can have a single unit with that, and then replace the Open Order with skirmishers for free, and a 50-point magic standard, 1 per 1,000 points as well. And again, the key change here is just the marks, right? So you're not going to count as mark of Nurgle, Slanesh, or Tzeentch inside the Chaos Army anymore. You get a Warrior Lodge mark that is just a flat bonus instead. All right, then we have Chaotic Traits. Now these are new non-magical upgrades. They're like a natural sort of like weird traits and blessings of the Dark Gods. They are available to models that represent the Followers of Chaos. Some characters and units may have them in the Grand Army composition. And those characters would be Chaos Lords and Sorcerer Lords may purchase up to 2 Chaotic Traits. Exalted Champions and Aspiring Champions, Exalted Sorcerers and Marauder Tribe Chieftains can purchase a single one. And then Warriors and Knights, Chaos Warriors and Chaos Knights may purchase a single Chaotic Trait. Chosen Warriors and Chosen Chaos Knights can purchase up to 2. And Marauder Tribes, Chaos Marauders, Marauder Horsemen, and Marauder Tribe Berserkers may all purchase a single Chaotic Trait. Huskarls must purchase up to 2 Chaotic Traits. And they have different point values. So it's usually a higher point cost for a character because it's more effective, and a lower per model for units. So let's check out some of the traits that are possible. So for instance, Unnatural Fortitude. Unless they're wearing heavy armor or full plate, they get their toughness increased by 1. That's 20 for a character, 2 for a unit. Dark Heart. Characters are 21 for a unit. Models whose troop type are infantry or cavalry only. If the winning side of a combat includes 1 or more units in which the majority of models have this trait, each unit that belongs to the losing side is -1 to their leadership test when they make a break test. Models that have the chaotic trait that cause terror or immune to psychology are unaffected because you're not impressed by a chaos thing. Then we got Long Striders, 15 points per model or for a character, and then 1 for a unit. It's 0 per 1,000 points unless they're wearing heavy or chaos full plate armor. They have the Vanguard special rule, so you can basically buy Vanguard for any of your Marauders, really, because they all have light armor. Enhanced reflexes, 10 for a character, 1 per unit. While they engage in combat, models of this character trait that choose to fight with the hand weapon gain +2 their initiative, because you're just fast at stabbing. You get Battle Hunger, it's 10 points per model or 20 points flat for a whole unit. Models whose troop type are infantry only. A unit which consists entirely of models with this character trait increase its maximum possible charge by 2 inches and add D3. You get Brazen Will for 10 for a character or 15 flat for a unit. If you're infantry or cavalry, you get magic resistance -1. And then Prophetic Foresight, 10 for a model or 10 points flat for the unit. So a character is the same as buying it for a whole unit. Enemy units that are deployed using the Scout special rule cannot be deployed within 18 of this model. Basically, you can see them. In addition, enemy units that are deployed using the Ambusher special rule cannot be placed within 12 rather than 8 if they have this, because they can see them coming. And then we got some new magic, the Lore of the Shadowlands. We get the Magic of the Wastes. In addition to the lores of Battle Magic, Demonology, and Dark Magic, Source of Chaos can use these. So you have, first of all, Maelstrom of Chaos, your signature spell. It's a magic missile on a 7+, 15-inch range. Place a small 3-inch blast template, so its central hole is directly over the center of the target enemy unit. Once placed, the template will scatter D3 +1. Anything under it is a strength 4 with an AP of -3. And then your 6 spells, you have the Blackened Bolts, Magic Missile 8+, range 18. It's 2d6 strength 3 hits with an AP of -1. And if you take any wounds, you have to make a panic test. A Veil of Gloom. It is an enchantment on 9+, range 15. Until the start of your next turn, sub-phase, the target friendly unit gains a 4+ ward save against any wounds suffered that were caused by a template, and a 5+ against any from a shooting attack. So it's basically a ward from shooting, so you're all darkened up. And that's your enchantment on a 9. Vortex of Darkness, magical vortex, obviously. 10+ to cast, and it's a 15-inch range that remains in play. It's a small 3-inch blast template, so its central hole is within 15 of the caster. And while in play, the template is treated as difficult terrain. It scatters D6 at the start turn subphase, and any unit, friend or foe, that's moving through it takes 3d6 strength 2 hits with no armor saves, but you can get ward and regens. The Shadowed Assailants spell is an assailment on an 8, and the range is only in combat. But a single enemy unit engaged with them takes 3d6 strength 1 hits with no armor or regens per minute, but you can make wards. Crawling Mist, it's a conveyance on a 6 or a 9. Range itself, the effect is if this spell is cast with a casting value of 6 or more, a single friendly model within 6 inches of the caster gains a reserve move special rule. If it's cast with a casting result of 9 or more, each friendly unit within 6 of the caster gains the reserve move special rule, and the spell lasts until the end of the turn, so you can move at the end. And then finally, Chains of Darkness. It's a hex on an 8+ with an 18-inch range. Until the start of turn subphase, the target unit suffers -1 to their movement and leadership, down to a minimum of 2. And then last but not least, you have a little host of new magic items, which you can take. The following might expand on the common magic item list. And then you've got like weapons, armor, arcane, everything. So first is the Cackling Blade for 65 points. Range combat, strength +1, AP -1, extra attacks plus D6 that are magic. And if a natural 6 is rolled for the extra attacks, the wielder is going to lose a single wound because the sword bites you. A Meteor Hammer for 50 points. It is a combat, strength, AP -3, magic attacks, requires 2 hands, and it's always going to wound on a 3+, regardless of toughness. You got a Hellforged Axe. It's +1 strength, -1 AP, armor bane 3 flaming magic attack for 30 points. And a Sword of Sorrow. 30-inch range, you can throw this thing. Strength 5, -1, armor bane 2, magic attacks, multiple wounds 2. It's a missile weapon. It can't be used in combat. No ward or regeneration is permitted against wounds caused by the Sword of Sorrow. So it's just like this super striker. All right, some armor. The Levitating Shield for 25 points. It's infantry only. The Levitating Shield is a shield. In addition, the bearer may use it alongside a weapon with a requires 2 hand special rule during combat, because you like have it in the back of your wrist and it floats around. The Trailblazer's Hauberk for 20 points. Models of the troop type infantry only. The Hauberk's a suit of heavy armor, and you gain the move through cover and scout special rules. And then your Talisman's Icon of Fortitude for 35 points. It's infantry or cav. You're immune to multiple wounds X. And if the bearer is wounded in an attack with a special rule, they just take a single one. And then finally for Talisman's, the Ironhide Talisman for 30 points. Models whose type is infantry only. Any enemy model makes a successful hit-to-hit roll against the bearer. The Ironhead Talisman during the shooting phase must reroll natural wound rolls of 6 because it just bounces off you. It's like in Fist of the North Star when he turns his body to steel. That's one of my favorite parts of that whole movie. And we got some banners. Banner of the Steadfast for 50 points. Infantry only. Should a unit carrying this banner of the Steadfast belong to it lose a side of combat, it can fall back in good order even if it was the unit strength of the winning side is more than twice that of its enemy. It just doesn't run away. Totem of Wrath for 50 points. During the turn in which they charged, models with this unit carrying the Totem of Wrath improve their AP characteristic by 1 and can reroll any wound rolls of 1 that are natural ones. 30 points for a Swirling Wind banner. Your mass would hit with shooting. And then Monster Hunter's Tapestry for 25 points. You can't make stomp against them. So like no stomping on guys with the Monster Hunters one. Enchanted items, the Arch Lightning Rod, 40 points. Single use during the command subphase. If they're not engaged in combat, the bearer of the Arch Lightning Rod can attempt to use by making a leadership test. If it's passed, until your start next turn, units can't use the Fly X special. You basically call down a big storm. Because what happens to a frog that gets hit by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else that gets hit by lightning. Potion of Fervor for 30 points, single use. During the command subphase of their turn, the bearer of the Potion of Fervor can consume it. And until the end of that turn, the model has a plus D3 mod to its attacks to a maximum of 10. The Becalming Orb for 20 points. It gives you a single-use bound spell with a power level of 1. It's a Hex on an 8+, range self. Until the start of your next turn, subphase, enemy wizards that are within 15 of you, when attempting to cast a spell, must increase its value by 2. And then last, the wizardy stuff. We have the arcane items, the Staff of Quietude for 35 points. During the command subphase of the turn, the bearer of the Staff of Quietude can attempt to unleash its power by making a leadership test. If it's passed, all remains in play spells currently in play are dispelled, including spells cast by friendly models. And then finally, the Scroll of Disruption. Once per turn, the bearer of the Scroll of Disruption may reroll a spell roll. And the Tome of Spellcraft. Once per turn, the bearer of the Tome of Spellcraft can reroll a casting roll from 30 points. So just basically modifying and adding in new things for like basically the Marauders, and then giving them their own sort of like subgenre of magic items and spells to represent all the various tribes that exist inside of the host of like regular humans that are fighting for chaos. So let's just jump back over because we do have a little bit more stuff in this book, which is cool. Primarily, it's going to be the Path to Glory stuff. Now, if you haven't played Path to Glory before, it was one of my favorite ways of playing Warhammer Fantasy with Chaos miniatures. And the idea was that you'd play an escalated campaign. In this one, you're going to start at 500 points. You're going to have you have an overlord that's running the campaign, and you're going to run a number of turns determined to be the overload for the campaign. That will go a number of weeks, and every week you add a certain amount of points. You earn campaign points based on your win levels, so like 3 for a crushing victory, 2 for a victory, I think it's 1 for a tie, none for a loss. And then you get a campaign point no matter what if you're painted, if you're fully painted, every week. You grow your army, and over the course of the game, you can win a variety of extra rules by earning experience. And your experience by your units ending the game above 50% by capturing a trophy, like a banner or something like that, getting a spoil of war, or by destroying an enemy unit, like running someone down and destroying them. Whenever you get experience, you're going to roll on the experience table for become a seasoned commander. And your units are going to gain skills. But the problem is that when they suffer casualties later on, they can reset their experience to 0 or even lose all the battle skills they had. So you roll 2d6. Let's say I had 2 experience. I would always add my experience to the roll and then reset my experience to 0 because you basically find out what you found for the game. So let's say I rolled that. I rolled an 8, added 2 experience, got a 10. I would get Experienced Warriors once per game. You can reroll any hit rolls of a natural 1. If the unit rolls this upgrade again, it can gains a second reroll for the game. Other things I could get, if I rolled a 2 to 5, even with the adjustment, I just lose all my experience and I learn nothing. 6 to 8 Grizzled Veterans, they permanently improve their leadership by 1. If it's leadership 10, this is treated as a 2 to 6 instead, so that you basically don't get anything. On 11 or 12, you get Weapon Masters. Your weapon skill goes up by 1 permanently. 13 to 14, Fighting Formation. You improve your rank bonus by 1. And then 15 plus Spoils of War, you find some cool weapons and stuff. The AP of all your weapons go up by 1. But for battlefield losses, you have to roll 2d6 whenever you end a game below 25% and see what happens. If you roll 1 to 3, you have insurmountable losses. I rolled a 10 there. On 1 to 3, you're so badly mauled, you lose all your veteran abilities and any unspent XP because you basically have to redraft the whole unit. Terrible losses on a 4. If the unit, it's only a D6 even. It's not even 2D6. So that would just happen. So on a 4+, you're kind of fine. On a 4 terrible losses, you lose 1 veteran ability of your choice. On a 5, you're mauled, you're okay. But on a 6, you gain an XP from the valuable lesson that you've learned. And then finally, fresh blood. Units can increase its size during the campaign. Should the unit strength of 1 or more units increase by 5 or more, it will retain its upgrades, but loses D3 unspent XP because you bring on new fighters. You also get seasoned commanders. You can get XP for your heroes as well. You get 1 for surviving, 1 per enemy character that they kill, trophy award they capture, or enemy that they destroy during the game. And if your army's general and you won, you earn extra XP. And once again, you can roll 2d6 and add stuff. You can be a prideful braggart where you get nothing and you lose all your XP. A grizzled veteran, your leadership goes up by 1. Weapon master, weapon skill goes up by 1. Or spoil of war, AP of your weapons goes up by 1. So just like your regular units. And then death and dishonor. If you're slain during the course of the game, you roll a d6, or you flee the battlefield, you roll a die. On a 1 to 3, you're dead, and you lose all your unspent XP. On a 4 or 5, badly wounded, you lose 1 veteran ability of your choice. On a 6, you gain an XP. Oh no, you get nothing. You just don't lose your XP, and that's it. And you play games up to the end of the number of rounds you decided to play. So like, let's say you're starting at 500 and you wanted to play a 6-week campaign. You'd end at 2,000 points. You'd have hopefully a fully painted armor over a month and a half by adding 250 a week. And I mean, that's a lot for some people, but some people can do that. And then you would give out the campaign awards based on how many campaign points you got. So the champion of champions is the person that got the most campaign points, and then best army is the participant with the best painted or most thematic army, and you vote by the participants, and that's it. So it's just a real simple set of campaign rules for earning some cool experience, tracking the nature of your armies, and going from like a little 500-point warband up to like a full 2,000-point army. And it's applicable to anybody. So even though it's Path to Glory, it doesn't have to be Chaos. It could be any army you want, and all the general like upgrades and stuff are so simple that they can apply to any faction or any of the various forces in Warhammer. And that's it. So a neat little Arcane Journal, some replacement stuff. I could see them doing more of this in the future as they add in or resculpt new units. Like I can think of some units like the Empire Knights. They could really do for a resculpt. Like the Empire Knights have been around for a long time. Even the Great Swords, I could see them doing that, doing like the Knights and Great Swords in a box like this for Warhammer Empire. And then just give them a little zhuzh up in an Arcane Journal. I think it's a cool way of doing things. And it means that they can kind of like keep refreshing some of the older model line with beautiful miniatures. These are obviously gorgeous models as they go through and enhance things. So there it is. I'll look at the new Marauder stuff in the new Arcane Journal for the Warhammer, the Old World, as this kind of like, I'd say like kind of stable, like just general release stuff starts happening. They've got a new army out now. And they're kind of just like plodding along, kind of making units fit the look of the game and get modernized. And yeah, I'm down for it. So we'll see what comes next. It'd be cool to see a Dwarf Warrior unit too. Oh my God, dwarves. I have to start playing again. Anyway, thanks for Workshop. Send this along. If you guys for watching. Touch on that.